thing always scares me. Oh,
There you are.
Good morning. Good morning. That's our little background. All right. Perfect. It's recording. It's good now. I'll say anything that. Gotcha.
Morning.
I think we're Fred, yeah.
Yeah, it's moving up in Georgia, so we're probably getting
Yeah, I came from Mount Pleasant and it was like crazy lightning going over the bridge. And then after I got off the bridge, it was kind of cleared up.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
How are you?
Good.
I am. Are you supposed to? I'm moving to the back because I gotta be smart. I was sitting in, so I gotta be. That way I don't interrupt, leaving all the way from the front. This is, you know what I mean? This is the worst whiteboard on the planet. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. I was dealing with an issue in my office. I'm Maggie LeBlanc. I am the rainmaker of the Infinity Group back in the corner. This is my cell phone number. That's always the, I mean, I give you my email address, but like right now I have 4,000 unread emails. So the fastest way to always use is text. Huh?
I said that's probably the easiest. way.
Yeah, always fastest. But it's Maggie@southcharleston.com. We are going to go over your value proposition and make and receive offers. So I'll give you a little bio because none of you know me except for Christina. I've been in real estate for 36 years. Like if you guys aren't even 36 years old, probably well, you might be. And like dinosaurs roam the earth. There's no computer MLS. You know, we use books to show houses. The information was like 2 weeks old at the minimum because books were only printed every 2 weeks. And it's all black and white. And one little picture this big block. This little block was like the whole information of every property. Sorted by price and area. And it was enormous. Like the Charlotte MLS books were like this thick, right? It's a huge market. So one of my favorite things to do is I am a Keller Williams University instructor. We haven't taught live in well over a year, only on Zoom. I'm excited to do a little bit of live teaching back at the Market Center because I think that's really a lot easier for the instructor, right? Because you get the energy of the room. You can't get energy from a computer. And like, it's more, as things come up, you can talk about them rather than raising your hand in the chat box, trying to answer all the questions, trying to stare at the screen and stay on task. We probably sell this year probably would do about 40, 45 million, not quite our goal, but I'll take it, right? The market's funky. I would rather have a high interest rate market than this market. It's terrible. Not a terrible market, it's just difficult, right? Everything's more difficult. So we're going to talk a lot about that in your value proposition, because does that look differently today than it would maybe 6 months from now or 2 years ago? You know, what do you set, how do you set yourself apart from other agents if you're delivering a multiple offer situation? How do you have the conversation and build relationships with the agents that are the listing agents? Because frankly, they're going to decide which offer they're going to take based upon how easy, right, you are to work with, and how, like, do you close everything? Is it going to close? Are you going to make sure that, I mean, what's your fall through rate? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And we are going to stick to material because Joseph will be mad if I don't. I said that because they're recording it. Now they can't use it. But I'm also going to give you some benefit of some of the experience that I've had over the past 3 decades or so. The market, you know, the real estate business is different, but the value is not, right? Paperwork's different, but the way you deliver the value and the experience for your client is what matters at the end of the day, not who sells the most real estate or how many units you do or any of that. What really matters is delivering, presenting your, what I call white paper, right, your value proposition, delivering that at a high level. And it's really about the experience of the consumer, not your experience, it's their experience, right? You could go around the room and I could say to you, so who's ever had a bad service at McDonald's? Right, it's a joke, right? I feel bad saying that because I just sold a client a house in Alfonso, owns like 9 McDonald's in Charlotte, so probably this is good.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about that, right? Who's ever had a bad experience at McDonald's? And you think about it, who's ever had a bad experience at Chick-fil-A? Like less than 4 people in the world, probably, right? I mean, they even got that pivot down when COVID came. Like I have never seen anything like it. Got little lines, drive-throughs, you order on your phone, you pull up, they bring it to your car. That's pretty cool. They'll deliver it to your house now, I guess. So there's a huge difference in my perception of value and your perception of value, right? What I think, what's important to me may not be important to you, but does it matter what's important to me or does it matter what's important to my consumer? The client matters, right? They define the experience. And if we ever have it here, or you have a chance to take it on CES Digital, or I can teach it if we get enough people that want to do it. The customer experience course is one of the best courses that Keller Williams has ever written. And you should definitely take it if they have it even on the internet. You know, people, they still do the CS Digital stuff here, right? I got a thing for it yesterday. Okay. Thursday is my favorite day because we talk about financials. That is going to be super important. So make sure you don't miss it that day.
Is that class going to be recorded? Just because I am going to miss that day. I have something that-
I guess they're doing it. It's recording right now. I guess they are. But here's the truth is I can teach that little part of that financial, like a basics class. I actually have a financial class that I teach, but we haven't taught in a while. This is the first time we did in-person training. Okay. So please open. Why isn't my stuff moving? Come on. I'm gonna have issues now. Come on. So if you turn. What has been your favorite part about Ignite so far?
I think me and the group, like talking to them, kind of seeing their experiences and seeing what they're going, what each one of us are kind of struggling with.
And going through it together, right? Like if you're here today or every day together, then you kind of become this little pot of people that are always there for each other, right? Because you know each other. And, you know, this class is phenomenal. And the people that they've lined up to deliver value to you is pretty impressive too. So the goal of a real estate business is to learn how to present offers. And what's the difference between growing a business and running a business? I call it the difference between working in the business and on the business. Which one of these, and you're on page, it doesn't tell me your page numbers, it makes me crazy. It should have this slide there. So if you are running a business and you are working on your business, this is the wrong one. They brought me the same. Hold please. Going backwards. I have to turn this recording off because now everybody knows. Are we in the right one? Yeah, okay, now I'm in the right one. They gave me the wrong manual on top. Okay, we're still on.
It puts you in Spark.
Spark is always first. I'm like, this material is not what it's supposed to be. Okay, so if you look at the chart in your manual, right? And if you say, every day agents do two types of jobs, on the business and in the business, which is on and which is in. If you look at that chart, those charts, which is on the business and which is in the business.
I think working on your business would be the part of, to me, I would say running it and being in the business would be growing. So if you're in the business and you're growing your leads and you're generating, you're on the business and you're actually running the day-to-day operation, what makes your business big. Sound like your paws on wrong, so should we work?
No, I'm listening to your analogy, right? Like, so in the business is doing dollar productive activities. Which one of those are dollar productive activities?
Running.
Which one of those are dollar productive activities?
Well, they both are.
Right?
Yeah.
The presentations, right? Growing your business is working on your business. You're building a business. Running the business is being in the business, right? Like when you're brand new, baby real estate agents, you do all of it, right? So you have to make sure that you spend, I wore this shirt on purpose. Everything I do is very purposeful. You want to know about me. So you have to learn to get really, really small in your building your business, right? So that you can have a big business to run. So if you begin your day and you're over here, I call it the weeds, right? You're over in the weeds. This is the part that's going to bring you more business, right? But intuitively, these things feel like emergencies over here. So we hurry and do them. And then at the end of the day, we forget we didn't do that, right? So every day, the first thing you should do, whether you have any business or any clients at all, is to look at the hot sheet in MLS. You guys have MLS access, right? Do you know what a hot sheet is? Do you know how to find it? Why
I'm
would you?
taking a class for the MLS today,
You
so
are.
I'm not in it yet, but I've heard of it.
When we break, I'll show you how to do it. But anyway, the reason I say that is because, is it possible for you right now to know every piece of inventory available in Charleston and all of the surrounding areas? And like, how would you know if the house is priced right? Is it possible to know that? Like, I don't even know that. But what you can learn by looking at the hot sheet every day is trends, right? What you can learn is, oh, this is a new house that came on the market. So even if you don't have a stack of buyers yet, you might get a call and, so, hey, Bob, I got this, I'm calling about this house at 123 Main Street. I'm like, oh, great. What are you looking for? Tell me why you picked that house. Well, I want 4 bedrooms. Well, 123 Main Street does have 4 bedrooms, but because you know the market, 246 Main Street has 4 bedrooms, was just listed last night for 259, or well, that would be fluke, 600, whatever, right? But the point is, that's part of growing your business too, because you have your brain, but you're doing that like early. Like with coffee. Like 5, 5:30, 6 o'clock. Right? Because it's 24 hours, every 24 hours. Now you do it realistically 5 or 6 times a day because you're looking for stuff for your pile of people that there's no inventory for. So lead generating for buyers and sellers needs to be done every single day. Making presentations to get listings and buyers needs to be done every single day. Go beat the bushes, go find people, go call people, knock on doors, I guess. Previewing real estate can be done on the hot sheet, right? It's not cost time effective to drive all over town looking at houses. We used to do caravans. We'd all meet at the office on sales meeting day. We'd all get in a car and ride all over town looking at new listings. I mean, it's true, the pictures are not 100% representative of what the house looks like sometimes. But you can walk through a house, go on Google Earth, look at the yard. You can do all of that on your computer. So you can be previewing houses all the time if you look at the hot sheet every morning. Every single day, my entire life, even when I'm on vacation, I look at the hot sheet every single day. And I belong to 3 MLSs, this one, Charlotte and Beaufort. Because I need to know what's happening in the areas that I intend to do business in, right? And the way I know that without spending a ton of time in my car driving around is I just look at the market. So if someone calls me for a listing appointment and they want $950,000 for their house that's worth maybe $550, I know in my head it's where I don't say it on the phone, right? But if you understand the market, and start with your neighborhood, understand everything about where you live, the neighborhood you live in, the general area, where you live in, what is, start small to get big.
So when you are looking at the hot sheet, are you filtering it for specific?
I don't filter anything.
So you don't do anything like custom. you just run it.
I want to know, it's just a default, residential real estate,
That's it.
yep, new listings, click
It's
the
gonna
button.
pull all of Charles, because we only have access to Charles.
Right, yeah, I don't have, like, the other ones are other MLSs.
But like, you can still hear it, so you're not leaving the area. you're literally just running.
Is it possible that an agent would make a mistake putting a house in an area? I'll tell you what happens, like, all the time. It makes me crazy. Daniel Island has its own code, 77, 71, 77. But most agents don't think about that. So they list houses in Daniel Island in that Berkeley Wando one, which is 64, 65. So you can miss it, right? Oh, that's a great townhouse on Daniel Island that's listed in the wrong code. If you're only looking at Daniel Island, you're not even gonna see that. Then your client's gonna find on Zillow and send you a message, hey, you didn't show me this one, because you didn't see it. So it only takes, like, I think Monday's the worst because it takes the whole weekend's worth of hot sheets and puts it all on Monday. So it's kind of a revisit, but it's like maybe less than 100 a day. It only takes a couple minutes to scroll through there.
So like when you're doing, because I pulled it up on my phone, I looked into there were 73 new listings, looked into that. What specifically are you looking for?
Well, I have in my mind a list of all the clients that we have that we don't have houses for. And everyone on my team,
So
every
you're
week
looking
we
to
talk
meet a
about it.
need that-
I'm
a
looking
current
to
need.
meet a need and I'm looking to see what's happening. That's the best way to tell what's happening. CNN is not the best way to tell what's happening. Fox News is not, none of that is the best way. The best way is to look at the hot sheet. For example, 3 months ago, who knows how many active listings were, no filter, how many active listings were on the market in Charleston, Mass. Christina knows. 1,300 and something. This was 1,300 for like, I don't know,
When was this?
just like a couple weeks ago. 1,300 active listings. No filter, just 13 new construction, everything, no filter, right? Apples, to apples. So this morning, who knows how many there are?
So, well, it shows right now it's showing 7.
1900 or so.
1,900 and something. That's an increase of how much? So you say to yourself, well, that's 600 units in a couple weeks. Is that seasonality? Is the market shifting? Or who knows what the number was before COVID, 5,400. So 5,400, which is already a buyer's market or seller's market, to 19 or 1,300, right? now 1900. I personally think it's a little seasonality, but we won't know. You have to watch it. But you want to know what's happening gradually, then suddenly, right? If you don't look at that number every day, you don't know. You can't forecast what's happening in the market. You can't listen to people on the news. They don't have a real estate license. They're not talking about Charleston. They're talking about the world. And they're just instilling fear and drama. I know, it's just ridiculous. So, on the business and the business. I spend more time on the business in the business than I should, but it's just where we are. I don't really sell real estate. I do the listings, but I don't, unless it's a personal client, I don't really do that part anymore, right? My number one goal is to get out of production. Your number one is get into production. My number one goal is out of production. But if you focus on, even if you just put this in front of your, those 4 little things in front of your face every single day and do that first, there's always time to do the rest. Now, are there some times where you're going to have to like maybe show buyer, you have a buyer come in, you might have to do that most of the day and you wouldn't be able to, so you have to make it up, right? It's a give and take balance. Okay, this is what we're going to learn today. We're going to define your value, and we'll begin that by talking about 3 aspects of service, and then you're going to know and state your value, and we're going to talk about how you deliver it. I mean, you just walk up to someone and go, hey, I'm Maggie, I real estate. I mean, no. But you should be able to have I call it like a little elevator speech, right? You're in an elevator with a stranger. You see they have a real estate magazine in their hand. Well, we used to have those. They're looking at Zillow on their phone, whatever. And you should be able to introduce yourself and state, why should someone choose you? Right now, you don't have a lot of production, right? So it's not about the production. What could it be about? See, when you write your value proposition, you need to focus on the strengths that you have that will deliver exceptional service. Because really, that's what we are. We're customer service professionals, right? So think about that. Like, what are the qualities that you have from your previous life, whatever you did before, that you can bring into delivering phenomenal service to your clients? And that's what you talk about. They're going to say, how's the real estate market? Say, unbelievable. Because that works either way, right? Good, bad. Unbelievable. If it's a high inventory market, it's unbelievable. It's a low inventory market. It works all the time.
Like nothing I've ever seen.
Well, it's like, this is what happens when you, people find out you have a real estate license. Okay. Or they'll say, oh my gosh, you must be making a fortune. Because, right, they see, that's what they think we do. Drive around in fancy cars and show $1 million properties. Yeah. But, right, because what are we talking about all the time right now? The market, the market, the market, the market, the market. So you have to be able to educate them in a way that's truthful. You need to understand what your value and what you bring to the table and how that's going to help them. Know your numbers. Numbers are the language of business. So if I know 74 new listings came on the market this morning or in the past 24 hours, and maybe 86 went under contract, what does that tell me? Right? We're selling more than we're listing, which we've been upside down at negative absorption rates for a year. What if that number creeps up a little bit by Christina? That number creeps up a little bit, and then the under contracts creep down. What do you learn then? Like you just have to watch it over time. Like when you're thinking about delivering your value, it's not about being a great salesperson. It's about being a phenomenal consultant and delivering phenomenal customer experience. That's what it's about. I hate to say it, but the computer, people that are behind a computer screen can sell a house just as well as we can, that don't even live here as long as they have a license, right? They can go online, write a contract, send it electronically, get it signed electronically. So it's got to be about the value. And don't ever delete your value. Don't ever negotiate away your value by giving away your money. Just say no. Okay. So a value proposition, I don't have page numbers in your book, so it should look like this. How will having your value proposition help you move from leads to contracts to close? So it's simply a precise description of the benefits the customer will get from working with you. And it should clearly convey all the things you do to earn the fee you charge. And it's really a covenant. What's the difference between a covenant and a promise? Well, covenant is a promise, right? A covenant is, I am promising you, this is what I'm going to do for you. Do you expect through our agency paperwork, a covenant back with them? Of course you do, right? Because if you're going to take time away from your other clients to focus on this client, it's got to be a win-win. It's not a win-win if they're out looking at houses with Redfin or whoever, right? It's not a win-win. A win-win relationship was both parties benefit. I very simply have always said the same sentence. This is what I do full-time for a living. And in order for me to take time away from my other clients to give it to you, we're going to have to mutually agree to sign this paperwork. Even before there was any paperwork. You know, there used to not be a buyer agency. So that is a very simple script. Yes, it's state required paperwork, but it also allows me to represent you and devote time to you. Oh, believe me, there's been lots of times that we've done things for people and then, oh, sorry, we bought a house. We went into a house over the weekend. And yeah, no. Number one thing. So how do you think your value proposition will help you deliver phenomenal value? It's gonna, what sets you apart? How's your past experience come into play?
Right now in the real estate market, I haven't had experience. You know, I just did a show this weekend. Person loved me and the wife loved me. The husband was great. I mean, they asked me if they could represent them. You're already with an agent, and it was here. It was they liked that I was honest. They liked that and the guy was like, I literally don't want to go see his house and talk. And I really don't know that he didn't want to go see his house. I just understand the reason why he should.
So you were showing houses for someone. Are you a buyer's agent? Or are you just helping someone out?
I was just helping.
So but that's good, right? You're getting experience, right? And that was a good conversation for you. It was good experience. What else? What about your past life, your past roles, your past?
Kind of just what he said. I think trust is huge. Confidence, exerting confidence is huge. Especially for a new agent, you got to be confident. We have no sales, but to show you're confident is key, no matter what. Absolutely.
Own it every
You
day.
have to.
You walk into the appointment
Yeah.
like you already have a deal.
100%.
Always. It's not arrogant.
Yeah.
One of the
It's
things that
confident.
I took away from it too was when I was there were other agents walking around. I mean, other clients with their agents. I'm assuming. But it shocked me is just how much smoke those agents were blowing up those clients' ass, especially this one house that was really priced. It's like you can tell, like, and then the next one came in and it was the same. I mean, it was just that same kind of rigorous routine. So what I think this guy appreciated was the fact that I wasn't like that. I was like, I was being honest with him. It was how still on it. It's like,
I think people's hugely.
"Hey, this is bullshit here. Don't buy this house. Please don't buy this house. Like, this is not a house that you got said one positive thing. But everybody else was just, you could hear them. They're just like, oh my God, this is great. This is wonderful.
Well, the other thing too is that I have a rule. I will never sell anybody a house that I don't think I could sell next week to somebody else, or I wouldn't let my child live in, right? Because you want them to use you again. And if you don't think you could sell it again, if they needed to move out of it, you're just working for the deal. It's about the relationship. I say all the time, this transaction is the beginning of our relationship. What I want to focus on is our relationship 5 years from now. So what do I need to do today in order for us to have a fabulous relationship moving forward? Because that's really where the money is, right? Not the money, but like when you become the hunted rather than the hunter, your world changes. It doesn't matter what the market does because you're gonna get a certain amount of, you're gonna do a certain amount of business anyway, right? So right now, it doesn't matter, you don't have any real estate experience. You're in a company that's like #1 in the world. This office is, you know, on the top of it. I mean, and you're surrounded by people every day that sell real estate at a high level. So what matters is that you're personable, you tell the truth, you hustle and do the best thing that you can for them. And don't think about the money, focus on the relationship.
So I've been working with a neighbor of mine that's they're teetering on listing their house, and he asked me, he was like, well, it's like, I know you just got licensed and I'd love to give you business, but would I be better off? And I said, well, I don't have experience selling real estate per se. But the benefit of using me, if you decide you want to list, my experience is as a customer, and that's my most experience. So I understand what your needs are, I understand what your fears are, I understand it from your perspective better than I understand it from someone who's been selling real estate for 20 years.
It's good. Tell him I'll go with you. If he wants experience, I'll go with you. No, I mean, that's
I'll
silly,
bring Maggie.
right? But I mean, it's silly, right? It's like, it's not about, what should matter to him is like, who else besides himself would want that house to sell for the highest possible price? You live in the neighborhood.
I threw that in too.
That's good, but I mean, think about it, right? You want your neighbors to like give their house away? No, that's not gonna happen in this market anyway, but, right? Well, what I know, Mr. Seller, is that through my negotiation skills, we're averaging 22% over list on, every house listed under 500,000 or whatever. Statistics, numbers. You have to remember, 95% of the planet operates from a personality of how and why, right? If you know anything about the DISC assessment, it's like an SC. It's how and why. How do we have to do it and why do we have to do it? 95% of the planet. And those people require data. 5% of the planet operate with a D, right? A driver. You throw data at them, they're like, yeah, I don't care. And then there's the eyes who want all just happiness, sunshine and puppies and all that. So understand your audience, because if you modify your speech and your value proposition based upon who you're speaking to and make it personal to them, the objections go away. You'll be shocked to know, have the highest D in this office. Like, I am going to go over the wall, through the wall, under the wall, around the wall. It's going to go away. Like, it's going to get done no matter what. That is not the happy place for some people. It leaves a huge wake of chaos behind me. And I talk fast, I talk with my hands, I'm loud. And so I have to, like, a lot of times just like pause, remember who I'm talking to, slow my rate of speech, lower my tone, not move around so much, right? That is part of your service too, understand. So if you turn to page 3 in your participant guide.
A question about that, because we've talked about this a lot, and they say like being able to know who these people are, like, what have you done to be able to know, like, oh, that person, like, and to be able to adjust what you're saying to them?
It's very simple. I'm gonna get off track. You're gonna get me in trouble.
I'm sorry. You've just been talking about it
I'm
a
just
lot.
kidding.
and,
But I
like,
know everybody, we need to have that class so everybody
Yeah.
understands it.
Because
But-
it comes up every day, but no
Every
one's
day,
actually
someone talks
defined
about
it.
So a D, right? So you have 4 general personality types. Natural behavior. If left alone in your happy place, how are you gonna act under stress is your natural behavior, right? Some people can modify their behavior, and anybody can do anything for any period of time. Anybody can do anything. Your natural behavior will show up like when a lemon is squeezed, right? You're gonna default to that. But if you understand how you are, right, it's like, what has to be done? What has to be done? Like, I'm gonna walk into a party and I'm gonna have a goal. The goals, I have to meet whoever it is. I have to meet somebody, I have to talk to somebody, I have to do, what do I have to do? I'm gonna do it. That's it. And I's gonna come in and they're who people. Oh my gosh, look at all the people. We're gonna float around all over the place. And they want to talk very social. They want to talk to everybody. It's like about influence, right? Who? And S, stability, right? Build the watch, right? All the details. And a C is like compliant. So they're not gonna call outside the lines. They're gonna drive 55 miles per hour or whatever the speed limit is. And they wanna know in great detail how the watch was built. And they're always sitting on the sides of the room, not wanting to talk to anybody, right? So if you take the two ends of the spectrum, the D, fast, is a task, like they're task people. A C, slow, also task people. Here's the difference. A C is gonna have a list and they're gonna not stop until everything on the list is crossed off. I'm not gonna make a list, but at the end of the day, I'll write down everything I did just to cross something off the list, right? And then the two in the middle are people. The I, who, happy. The S is very stable. It's everyone to be happy. They don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And the I's feelings can get easily hurt. So if you learn to ask the right questions, first of all, someone's rate of speech. Someone that talks fast and loud, 97% of the time is going to lead with a D, a driver. Kelly from my office, the happiness princess, wants to talk to everybody. She can walk in the back door, talk to the entire office on her way to the office, and I would be exhausted by that. That gives her energy, right? Tiffany and Kristen, like details. Want to make everybody happy. That's the easiest way. You have to always assume, Gary Keller would say, prepare like you're talking to a C. If you have everything, it's easy to take it away. But if you show up with not everything and you're having someone with a C, you've lost them because they have to have like throw everything at them. Spreadsheets, all kinds of stuff. I'll make sure that we get one of those classes on here. They're kind of fun to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you turn to page 3, 3 aspects of service. Purpose, know the underlying purpose of the real estate profession. Your value proposition. Have and communicate a clear sense of how you deliver on that purpose. Here's what's next. This is what we do. Right? Always in a conversation with here's what happens next. Because do they know what happens next? Do we assume that they do? Has anybody ever had a bad experience buying real estate? Or buying a car or anything? So think about the best experience you've ever had doing that. And duplicate that, right? Understand little tiny things matter. Fiduciary is you have to put your client's needs above all else. Everybody learns that in real estate school. Okay, let's go. What is the underlying purpose of real estate? And is it the same for buyers and sellers?
To an extent.
Maybe the service is.
Yeah.
What does the buyer want? Number one thing the buyer wants,
Highest price for their home.
the buyer,
The buyer, best home at the lowest price.
correct. What is the number one thing a seller wants?
Highest price.
The highest price. Are sometimes those in a conflict?
Probably all.
And right now, people are doing crazy stuff. It's like lunacy. So your job and for the seller is to get them the highest possible price at the best possible terms. The highest possible price now could be $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 over list price. The buyer, your job's to get them the house that they want right now, right? They're not gonna get it for under list price, probably not. I don't think I think we got one house like for like $5,000 or something all year. One I wrote on Friday went $85,000 over list with a $20,000 appraisal guarantee. That makes me crazy. I get goosebumps when you talk, like I can't stand it. But what's my job? To get in the house that they want, right? And protect them as best I can.
So you work more on the buyer side or the seller side?
I generally represent the sellers. Occasionally, when I have personal referrals, I represent a buyer. And in this case, I had a personal referral. I represent the buyer. I didn't show them a house, Kelly did, but I negotiate. And I call agents because people know who I am and I could have a conversation with them. And like there were 5 offers on that house. I text them, I'm like, okay, Parker, what do we got to do to get it? Tell me right now, I'll do it. What is it? Right? So sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. But I don't feel bad for them. I told them this house is, I wish I could turn that off. The number one thing to remember sometimes is sometimes agents, not here at this office, but in other companies will price a house knowing too low, knowing that it's going to cause a bidding war. That was the case with this house. Now, if I knew the house across the street sold for $560, why would this house even, we can't even start at $520. So you have to know that, right? And communicate that to your client from the beginning. The expectation is this is going to minimum $550, $560 to get this house before you even look at it. Because you know, there's like 3 houses in Johns Island under 600,000. This is beautiful. It's been on the market for an hour. There's already a day block showings. You have to get, so then you think about it. I go through a process. I think about it. I give them a range I think it's going to take, talk to the other agent, see how many offers they have. Are they going to present them now? As soon as they get them, are they going to hold them? Why would I ask that question?
You want to know what your leverage is. And
Strategy. If they're going to hold them and do highest and best on Sunday, I'm going to call them on Sunday and see how many offers you have now. Because if I send an offer today and there's 5 offers,
there'll be 10 more by Sunday.
right? So it's a little bit different right now. You just have to ask different questions, right? You have to ask questions of the listing agents. And well, how are you going to present them? Are you going to call highest and best? How many showings do you have today? How many offers do you have? And I asked like 3 or 4 times before I sent them my offer, how many do you have now? Sometimes they won't tell you. One lady said, it's none of your business. I'm like, I'm not writing an offer on your house then. Is that going to be a difficult transaction? If someone won't even answer a question, it's none of your business. Okay, well.
So the rest of it's not.
Well, I mean, and who's that going to reflect on? Does it, I mean, that's going to show up in the transaction. And again, your job is to deliver phenomenal service to your client and deliver on your value proposition. You can't control what other people do, right? But it's going to affect you. Okay. Value proposition. So your value proposition distills your service offerings into a succinct set of benefits for your client. What's in it for me? So I want you to say, think about what about you is unique that you can use to deliver your value proposition. Name one thing. This is like a interactive.
Honesty and transparency.
Honesty, transparency,
Trustworthy, confidence,
trustworthy, confident.
knowledgeable, yeah.
I mean, I will put my clients' needs above my own as far as pushing down to the value myself. It makes my clients happy. I'm happy, but it if it builds my reputation, gets them what they want.
right?
I'd say definitely like dedicated, trustworthy people person. I'll always put their needs first.
What do y'all do? What'd you do prior to real estate?
So retail, so I do retail sales now, but I don't retail sales, I do business sales.
What are you selling?
Multi-million-dollar contracts.
Nice. Can you bring a fiber to my
I don't work in that business.
neighborhood?
That wasn't her question.
Yeah.
Predominantly retail, started off with social work.
Oh, God bless you.
I'm a helper.
You are a helper.
I'm a helper and a problem solver.
That's good. Those are good traits to have.
Admissions and then mental health counseling. So
People are.
both sides, both sides.
And in the back.
Teacher.
All of you. Whole room full of SCs, maybe.
No, I'm not. I'm a D.
Hopefully in a nice, loving way.
That's the question.
So think about, I mean, think
You're a big
about,
D. All right.
think about how all of those traits from those previous careers roll into your delivering value to your clients now in this career. I mean, think about it. First of all, real estate is like being a psychiatrist. So there's that. Multiple personality types all the time at the highest level of stress, right? It takes calm. It takes problem solving. It takes patience. All of those things, all of you exhibit, right? So what's the difference between fiduciary and functionary versus fiduciary? What's the difference?
Fiduciary is your money. It's your obligation to make sure that they're taken care of financially, that you're doing the right thing financially for them. Functionary would be basically making sure that you're doing what they're asking. I'm assuming it involves meeting their demands, but there's also a conflict because sometimes what their demands are don't exactly meet their fiduciary needs.
Also a little, I believe, behavioral versus legal.
Behavioral versus legal and task versus financial, right? It's the easy way to, like, functionaries tasks. Like, in order to close your transaction, there's a list of functionary tasks that have to be done, right? Have nothing to do with the financial obligation of the contract, but there's steps that have to be done. 192 actually tasks for every real estate transaction.
Is that all?
192. Like without like any extra stuff. 192. Okay. Please turn to page 4 to 6. Let's talk about how you're going to know and state your value. Look at page 5 in your participant guide and take a few minutes and just write a little bit about yourself, your strengths, your perspectives. Just write down responses. Do you have page 5? Okay. Just answer the questions, right? Just quick, write down just whatever comes to your mind. You're not going to craft an entire paragraph right now. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't have one. It's right here.
No, I don't.
Oh, Okay. Now, looking at that list. Let's kind of put that aside. Every year NAR does, this is from 2018, but if you go, once you become a member of the National Association of Realtors, that's when you get the little nerds number. You can log on to realtor.org and you can download this. Every year they do a study and there's books you can purchase if you don't want the digital version. And they always give you what buyers value and what buyers want and what sellers value and what sellers want. And they're really good graphs, right? Good visuals that you can put in presentations if you want to. This is from 2018. But this is what NAR says buyers want. What is their number one thing? The percentages aren't there. Why not? 52% of buyers want what? Help to find the right home to purchase. Where is negotiate the terms of sale? Second, right? That's really important right now. So that's over 75% of everything that they want, right? Bottom line, find me the right house, help me get it for the price I want to pay. Now let's look at what buyers value. So buyers value what the largest percentage?
Reputation.
The reputation of the agent. Where is, friend or family member? What is your aha from looking at that list?
Reputation's everything.
Right? What you say matters. And all of those words we've talked about today, right? Trust, honesty, knowledge of the neighborhood, knowledge of the area.
And like any other servicing, I'm assuming you're only as good as your last transaction.
Yeah, you're right. You and everyone that touches the transaction. We're a little bit behind because I go on bunny trails. Well, they don't let me teach anymore. But the thing about it is, if you can deliver what they want and value, it doesn't matter how much experience you have. It doesn't say anywhere experience of a real estate agent. Like when I was a brand new baby real estate agent, I tell everybody I was a brand new baby real estate agent. Just sold real estate.
Isn't experience kind of implied in the?
Well, it's
reputation?
reputation. You can have an agent that sold one house and the house could be $11 million and that's one house, one transaction. It's not experience.
Is that mentioned for this? This says agents experience 16%.
Are you on the buyer's value?
Agent, it said agents honesty and trustworthy is 19%. Agents experience is 16%, and the reputation of agents is 16%.
Well, that's not what mine says. Mine says value.
Oh, if you have 30.
Reputation is 31%, 22, honesty is 22%,
You got the updated version.
and friend or family member, that is irrelevant.
This is,
I don't, are we like in the same class?
wait, are you looking at the
That's the,
seller one?
No,
we
buyers.
have the breakdown.
Oh, you don't have the pie chart, you just have
You
the
got
thing.
just the percentages.
We didn't get the pie,
Okay, this chart says up here,
according to that.
I don't have your guide. I wish they would all be the same. So, like we talked about earlier, the specific set of skills and services that we talked about you all having from your prior experiences fall into these categories, right? So it doesn't matter how much house you sold. Doesn't matter. Okay. We're behind. I promise to make it. What do sellers want? Look at what buyers want. Now let's look at what sellers want. Sellers want, these are very tight. So this would be interesting to me if we downloaded, I should have done it, I just didn't have time. We downloaded like probably 2020s. Because the largest percentage is help seller market home to potential buyers. price home competitively. But they're the same, 20% in my pie chart. And then right behind that, sell the home within a specific time frame. So just like we talked about earlier, it's highest price, best possible terms within time frame that meets my needs. I mean, right now sellers are like, I want to rent back for 3 months for free and, you know, put utilities in your name. And my dog gets to come over every third Thursday of the month for the rest of the, I mean, whatever they want, they're getting. It's crazy. I mean, they're literally people that close and will not, they have a rent back for free for like 3 months or 4 months. Do they have to find a house too? Right? They do, because they're going to be buyers somewhere, and every market in the world is pretty much the same as ours. Different levels, right?
How long do you think this bubble will last, in your professional opinion?
I've never seen anything like it. Like, I honestly, when I got my license, I was 21 years old and their interest rates are 15.5%. 15.5%. And now people are complaining about 2.75%. Come on. 15.5%, right? And the up high is 18%. I used to say to a buyer when they're interviewing lenders at one time, anytime you can get below 10%, you should just jump on it. This was not that long ago, maybe 1996, right?
That's wild.
And now, I mean, I had guys shopping at Rocket Mortgage last night instead of one of our preferred lenders, because it was like 0.25% less. Like, I don't know Rocket Mortgage. They're not going to deliver on this appraisal, $85,000 over list. Use who I told you to use, right? Do you want the house or not want the house? I can't really answer that because I watched it. We launched this market center in 2012. I built it, we started building it. And there were over 12,000 active listings in the MLS. And for the past few years, it's been like, you watch it gradually, then suddenly it's been 52 to 5,400, just hovering there, nice stable market until COVID. So it's gone up 600 units in 2 weeks. I do think that's a little bit of seasonality because people are traveling, right? Like for a year, no one went anywhere. Now they're going places. College is back in session. So people are, so I think we won't know until, you know, there's a lagging indicator. If it starts to go back down, I'm right. If it starts to go back up, I'm not thinking, I think everyone doesn't agree with me. I think that's what it is. Because you start thinking, what controls that, right? Things sitting on the market a little bit more, or is there a lack of buyers? No. We still are getting hundreds of buyers a month, or hundreds and hundreds of buyers a month to our website looking for real estate in Charleston. So if you are a buyer and you need to buy now, you got to be on it, right? Like you're on it 24 hours a day, your agent's on it 24 hours a day. Our whole team looks for every single person every single day because we need to deliver, right? And then sellers are dragging their feet because they don't have a place to go. I have no crystal ball. One thing I have been able to figure out is the crystal ball aspect. If I had one, I'd only work when I knew it was going to be a good day. I don't have a crystal ball, right? I don't know what interest rates are going to do. I know what the market's going to do. All I can know is what the market's telling me it's going to do. And that's what it's telling me, that I think it will continue for at least another 18 months to 2
Can I
years.
ask a dangerous question?
Is it going to get me in trouble with Joseph?
I'll ask you after.
Joseph's one of my best friends. Nothing gets me in trouble with him. I'm just messing with him.
It's more or less around, you know, and this comes a lot because like, you know, recently, I've been watching like The Big Short, Inside Job, and also stuff right to make it fail. How this market, how does it closely relate to what happened? I mean, no one in real estate likes to talk about what happened.
Oh, I'll tell you.
2008,
It does absolutely nothing to do with that.
But so you don't see any results.
Not at all. Do you want me to tell you what real life was then? So far off track.
We're just talking about.
So far off track.
It's real estate.
That this is what happened in that period of time. It's like the perfect storm of stuff. Perfect storm. You had a buyer walking into a bank and saying, I make $3 million a year. I want to borrow $2 million. No income verification. No income, no asset, no doc, right? Then you have appraisers making deals with people to appraise houses, say worth 300,000 for 600,000. Then you have all of this short real estate and the assets, you know, you understand that when you, a traditional lender sells their paper on the open market, right? So you have the big banks then had all this paper, which is really deep paper, right? In trouble, and they're selling these assets to other places. It created a perfect financial storm of markets always shift. When affordability outpaces what the average person, the average town can afford to buy a house, when it's not attainable, the market has to correct itself. Has to. So then you have the market trying to correct itself because affordability went craziness. You've got all this bad paper being sold, and it was just a financial mess. Foreclosures, short sales, it was terrible. But it wasn't, the real estate market didn't cause it, people caused it, right? Man, that's stupid. Yeah, I want to buy that $9 million house and I make, you know, $12 million. Oh, I only have $200,000 in the bank less because, I mean, come on. They don't know because they didn't ask any questions.
Yeah, people would like, I had several friends that, like, I had a couple coworkers that were buying, and I'm like, you can't afford this house. And they're like, well, they're telling me that I can. I'm like, we work together.
They
I
were
know what
trying
you
to,
make. You
yeah, they were
cannot
trying to
afford this
kickstart a
house."
market that wasn't as much trouble as they thought it was, right? I don't think that the financial markets now, I think that they have, and you think about it, I'm like, that wasn't that long ago. They should have already had like stopgaps in place. But I think that the financial markets now are a little bit insulated from things like that because there's different things in place. I mean, I haven't seen a no doc loan in years. Bank statement loans, yeah, but bank statement loans mean that you have, like, you're seeing the bank statements, right? It's different than, hey, I want to borrow. So I don't have any problem talking about it. I think this is nothing like that. This is 100% a country that was put on pause, like just pause. Fear, you know, people were sick, they were dying, elections, all of that affects real estate always. This is just an affordability thing. It needs to correct itself. It's out of control. I sold a house last week that I sold less than 1 year ago for $150,000 more than they paid for it.
I moved here a little over a year ago and I was begging people to buy my house. And then I jumped the gun and sold it a little too early because I wasn't sure what was gonna happen come like May, June. And I had renters in there until June, but I sold it beginning of April for like 70,000 more than what I was was begging people to buy it for the year, like 1 year later.
I had someone knock on
And I
my
didn't do
door
anything different, like nothing.
a month or so ago, and they said, I'll give you $1 million for your house. I'm like, no. I can't duplicate this lot for $1 million. I love my house, right? But that's crazy. I pay like $500,000 for my house. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
But marsh lot, a river, 3-car garage, I mean, right?
right.
Well, I think a little, I mean, I was talking to Jay last week about referrals, and we looked up that chart. I mean, political climate also has a lot to do with the fact that we are a red state, which if you look at a lot of referrals, we are getting a lot of people coming in from blue states that are not following politics, but it's.
Politics and religion.
It drives a lot.
Well, and two, brick and mortar is not gonna be where it is. I mean, their podcast, what's the name of it? Like after COVID or after the pandemic, I'll get it on my phone in a minute, tell you, it's phenomenal, fascinating discussion. But again, the analogy is, you know, his analogy is 33% of people have to work in the building, right, in the office. They have to be there for whatever reason. They have to be there. 33% of people could go either way. And 33% of people will never go into an office environment again. So that means there's 33% of people who still have their same job. They're not commuting. They can work anywhere, live anywhere in the world they want, as long as they have an internet connection and they can work. So it opens up people moving to Charleston that we're gonna move here maybe 10 years from now, but they can live here now, right? And that's everywhere that's happening. Like, they can just live wherever they want if they never have to go in and to work again, right? And then you've got the people that have to be in the building. The whole discussion is around commercial real estate. And he just wrote a book and I can't remember it, but I'll get it for you. Because that's how you learn different perspectives, right? You know, you are what you read and listen to, and the 5 people that you hang out with. You're the sum of all of that. So if we listen to CNN, or I have nothing against CNN, I just don't watch the news. I just use CNN as an example. I'm not anti-CNN. Without doing your own research, then you're putting yourself and your clients and someone else's perspective, right?
So bringing this full circle, do you see all of this, what's going on now, a struggle to be a buyer's agent because of what the market's doing so much with this, like selling being insane?
No.
Or is it just because?
I have never in my life seen a real estate market like this. Like, you can buy, I mean, if you want to hustle, you're gonna make $1 million. If you don't want to, it's harder. Everything's harder, right? It takes longer. You know, it's stressful. So people that want to hustle are going to make money. It's not a market for complacency. Like, you have to be, like, your value right now to a buyer is finding them a house to buy that they love. Narrowing it down so small that you're looking, right? You're looking in a specific area. This one, for example, over the weekend, Riverview Farms on Johns Island. Nothing ever comes for sale there. 2 houses in 2 weeks. The first one they missed because they weren't paying attention. And then they decide that's the only neighborhood they want. So now it's easy. Either knock on doors, get a listing, find a listing. As soon as it hits the market, right? I get more emails from my website than the clients do, because I have myself set up on every single alert for every single person that's ready to buy right now that I need to find a listing for. Everyone. I get like 92 emails a day to myself. That's faster for me
That's
than
really smart.
logging into the MLS. Every time I put them in the website and build their e-alert, I save it and I add it to my e-alert myself in my website. So if I can call them and say, hey, Jerry, there's a condo in the retreat at Riverland that was just listed on the 3rd floor. It's a corner unit, 1,500 square feet, 325. I've got an appointment at 4 o'clock. I'll FaceTime you. Call the agent, say, I'm going to write an offer on that house at 5 o'clock. FaceTime showing at 4 o'clock. That's value. That's what it takes right now. But yes, there's plenty of money to be made as a buyer's agent. Just have to decide to, but you just have to, I mean, it requires more hours probably than, I don't really like to work, and I'm working a lot of hours. Who are your competitors?
I got a quick question. So this is kind of change the
Oh my
subject.
gosh, you guys are gonna be so
This is
much
kind of
trouble.
change the subject. So, you know, obviously most things go through the MLS and everything, but why do an off market sell? Just so you don't have to go through the hassle of multiple lists, multiple offers and everything. Is I bought my first house off market. And I was always kind of curious why. Was it easier just, like, what was the purpose behind that? And I'm just kind of thinking about that now.
Where are you seeing that go?
Didn't go through the MLS or anything. It was just off market.
Right now, I believe those sales are people knocking on doors looking for a client for their, they have a buyer and they're looking for a house for it. Normally, I personally don't think it's in the seller's best interest not to expose it to the market.
Yeah, and that's what I think.
So if you're, but I mean, some sellers don't want to deal with the chaos. I mean,
It's mainly just you don't want to deal with the chaos.
we had a house in Shadow Moss. We had like 46 showings. She's like, no more, like no more showings after Sunday. I don't care how many offers we have. I mean, we had a lot of offers, but, right? It's exhausting to
That's the
people.
thing, yeah.
But Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if it made a difference of $90,000 to you, would you
Yeah.
expose it to the market?
Literally, yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, I was just curious.
That's
if
the
there's
difference
a
from
specific-
my perspective.
Specific reason,
The
yeah.
short-term pain versus long.
Other perspective is
Yeah.
that, I mean, Trent's fabulous at it. He goes and finds a house off market, sells it all. He's fabulous at it. But see, if it's for my buyer, then I'm like, right, I don't want to expose the market.
Yeah.
But the deal has to be sweet enough to entice them. You know, what would have to happen for you not to put this active?
So you're gonna start with an off market, you just find a neighborhood that they kind of want to be in, start market. I mean, aside from seeing the outside of the house, you can kind of understand. the inside.
Well, and I find the people that are selling in the area I want. I'll give you an example. So there's Folly Beach. There's some condos out there, and I had a client who wanted one of them, and it just hit the market, went under contract before she was ready. I mean, she just started her feet a little bit. So, and the agent knew it, and he knew me. He knew that we missed it. And so the neighbor was putting their house on the market. So he called me before he put it on the market, and same price as the other house was. They're all the same. There's differences of furniture, you know. And we wrote an offer full price, and they took it and didn't expose it. But that they didn't want to disturb the vacation renters, right? That's a pain in the neck out there at the summertime. But so it came on the market and was under contract the same day. That's an example. But I mean, if I were the listing agent, I probably would have shown it for 24 hours. But from my buyer, I'm like, great, let's go full price, cash, we'll close in 2 weeks. Right? So which hat are you wearing? I'm not trying to harm anyone for sure. But, you know, the last sale in the neighborhood sets the floor. Remember that. Like, you all right? You know, the last sale is going to set the floor. Nothing's going to sell that low again in that neighborhood. So who are your competitors? Your competitors are, well, technology. So let's talk about how you're going to distinguish yourself and deliver your value. So have you guys seen the 6 personal perspectives? That's a good class. Being learning based is important. You're here, know what you know what you don't, know the difference between the two, right? Self-mastery means you're always learning, you're always trying to improve on yourself. Like go out right now, you could be interviewing vendors, you could be, you know, interviewing attorneys that you're going to recommend. You could be interviewing other agents that take an agent to coffee or whatever that has, you know, a mega agent or something and say, hey, what is the thing that you know now that you didn't know when you got first licensed, right? Benefit from the experience of those around you. And everyone has a different perspective, right? Like Scott, Kyle, we would all have a different answer to that question, right? So you can gather all of that knowledge and make it part of, you know, who you are in your value proposition. All right. What qualifies as an excellent real estate experience? What would define a stellar experience for you?
as the client?
Yeah.
Just say like easy, comfortable, get what you want from it, whatever you're asking.
You're hitting all the things that you're, if I'm talking from client perspective, yeah, everything that your wants are, but I'm also shifting on my values. So like, I'm bringing to the table everything you ask for, but I'm also hitting all those wants.
So if you were to sit down with a client or Zoom with a client or whatever, however you're doing that now, and you were going through, based on the buyer, it's the buyer department on here, we have the buyer consultation. I don't know what order they come in now. But if you're sitting there and you're asking them questions, you know, Mr. Buyer, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most important thing for you and your experience from this time that we're going to be together, what is the most important thing to you? Everyone's gonna have a different answer. And you need to make sure, this is uber important. Like every single person that touches that transaction has to deliver the same level of service that you deliver, or they're gone. Like, no kidding, they're gone. Because that reflects on you. Right? They have this great experience with you, you get this contractor, and you pass it off to the transaction team, and that's funky. What do they remember? The great experience with you or the funkiness of the transaction? Right, lenders, home inspectors, everyone. Like, no kidding. Interview them. Put them on your list only after you've interviewed them. Interview people that use them. Interview, find out, get a list of 3 or 4 agents that do a lot of transactions that use them, right? Because quantity, can cause stress fractures, right? Because you're only as good as the last person that talked to your client. I'm a real pain in the neck about this. You can ask them, like, I will. We don't sell information and we don't expect our vendors to sell information. And for the past 4 or 5 months, every time I have a closing, I've been getting these phone calls from this alarm sales company. Every time. That's so weird. Emails, phone calls. I tried to hire her last week. I'm like, you are really good at your job. I mean, stop calling me about my clients, but you're really good about your job. You want a job? I'll put you in real estate school. Like, she is like the best ISA ever. She's a bulldog. But I couldn't figure out how they were getting the information of my clients. And then I found out someone that was on my vendor list that was involved in the transaction was giving the information to this company. Guess what? They're not on my vendor list anymore. And I had a conversation. I said, number one, you should have had a conversation with me. I push 100, 150 transactions to you on an annual basis, exclusively you. Well, of course, there's always choice. And I don't appreciate being harassed by an alarm company because you gave the information. I couldn't figure it out. It was crazy. And now all of a sudden I know who it was. I mean, I flipped my lid. You can ask them, like I said, that's it, done. Get them on the phone right now, done. Like, there's no excuse for that. Like, people ring the doorbell, like, here, I'm here. No. So be careful, right? Make sure that everyone functions the same way that you do and they have the same mindset about service. We're really over time. What is your number one aha? And you're okay, 1 aha. And what is your action item from this course? The other one's easy. We'll get through. And we didn't get to practice the contract either. Okay. So one action item, one aha. If you didn't learn anything, I really feel bad.
Yeah.
I think definitely like it's not just you that's in it, like to make sure that you're getting good people in your corner.
Yeah,
And that would also be my action item. I need to get on my list of finding people that I also trust that I would recommend to my clients.
okay, that's good.
Does the office here have that? Did we have this in your list of leave that this article recommends, attorneys they recommend?
I think so. Like they ask us for our vendor list occasionally. So that would be a Kristen question. I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. I'm looking for my. I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. If you need a vendor list, you can just go back, ask Ally, she'll share our Google Doc with you.
Mine, stand behind your values. I mean, because that's obviously what the client or customer wants. And action, continue to know your numbers, because obviously that is huge. Knowing forward, it's gonna distill confidence. Confidence is key. So,
Well, on your value
Not the hot
proposition,
sheet.
you know, you need to like really write that out and spend time
Yeah.
doing it so that you own it in your head.
absolutely.
It's not possible to do in a class of
Yeah.
an hour. What else?
Mine are pretty much the same as this, know your value and know your shit.
Just,
Build your knowledge and know your value.
and don't get ready to get ready. Like, activities produce results. You're never gonna be 100% prepared for an appointment. You're never gonna be 100% prepared for a buyer. You're never gonna be 100, it's not possible. Like, there's always something, right? So just jump in with both feet. And if you need help, ask. Right? Okay, like, I can only give you like a 5-minute break because I need 20 minutes.
That's all we've been taking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you probably haven't been 20 minutes over.
We didn't
We've been
hit
almost
until
every
12
class.
We didn't
yesterday.
hit till 12 yesterday.
We've run over
On the
almost every
teaching
class.
part
Yeah.
or the Denise part?
On the
No.
whole thing.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not
They
doing
should
that.
change these to noon. I mean,
I'm
They
gonna
really
be
should,
done,
but-
like, I'll
they
be
should do 9
done.
to 12.
I
Yeah.
don't think we've been out before noon.
Oh, well, I think she's supposed to come in. We're only supposed to teach till 11, and then she's supposed to come in and keep you till 12 to do the activities.
Oh,
What are the
no, we haven't been
activities?
doing that.
What are the activities?
Like you know, all of your contacts and
Oh,
stuff
that, no, I don't.
that you
think
do
so,
with
yeah.
Denise, your calling and all that.
No, I don't think so. No, I think
Maybe
she's-
I'm not,
She's saving that for another time.
maybe I'm not up on the rules.
I don't know.
They told me I had to teach 2 modules in 2 hours, and I'm already 20 minutes over.
Yeah, everyone's been behind.
But this part is just make and receive offers is not bad. I'm gonna grab my phone so I can say that podcast while we're having a 5-minute break and make sure there's nothing burning down.
I feel like we're, I don't know. I feel like we're all kind of on the same page, like just wanting to know like their experience.
Pretty
and
much,
things like
yeah.
that, like, and taking their advice.
I think
It's
that's,
been the most interesting. so
agreed, right there with
I
you.
appreciate all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Isn't until 12 -ish?
No, it was mainly just stuff.
The contacts, right? There's some of your contact list for family.
No, it wasn't even really that. There was also like an icebox in here yesterday. I was like. I'm always cold. So. So if you like gone out and done anything yet?
Yes, I mean, I'm kind of doing my. I've been. I mean, I'm going off the original work. That plan.
Well, that's good. I need to, well, now that I have my license number.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it came through yesterday.
It's exciting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go over and see a house with my friend today. But I'm getting like my pictures taken tonight, but I'm probably gonna have to hire somebody. So, like, there's just a lot to do. A lot to get done.
Well, I think that's the big thing, I think everyone's like, don't get stuck in getting ready to get ready. Like, there's a lot of shit to like.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
even,
That's an easy thing to say. but
right,
Yeah.
like, you know, for us, like, everyone's like, open house, show me the house. I
Yeah.
have no marketing material. I don't.
Right, exactly.
Like, I'm like,
Show
I have,
up.
like, what am I just gonna post it and hope people show?
Kind of.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Pretty much what they're
We
saying.
don't have the signs or anything like that yet. We'll get
and my
there.
grandfather, who I thought was gonna be really supportive,
You said
is an ass. Like, all right. you know
just
what?
fucking do
That's
it.
pretty much-
Yeah, you need your
that's
advice
pretty
on
much what
it.
it is.
Just fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, where's something now? Just go out and start knocking out doors. I was like, okay, well, feasibly, I don't have time to do that. So where can we go?
What are you talking
My
about?
grandfather lives for Keller Williams out in California.
Oh, he does?
He's been doing it forever. And he's like, yeah, you know, definitely come to me. I'll mentor you, whatever else. Yeah, it's an asset.
We're in Cali.
So like also too, like, your style of selling and listing well works a lot different than here. I'm saying, but he's all right. He's very old school. Very, very
This is my favorite part because making and receive offers is like, besides listing. Where, you know, magic is. Okay. What? Oh,
I keep saying Boomtown, it's still lead generation tool, or is that a CRM?
but it's coming on my screen.
No, I've seen Boomtown.
Oh, Boomtown is my CRM, like it's my website.
They do like everything marketing and.
What is, no.
business
stop.
development. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. They, local people were locked out for years until like last year because the casino group is related to Greer, who owns Boomtown. But now they've allowed certain people. I was on the waiting list for 9 years.
Wow.
Number one on the waiting list, so I was the number one person to get it when they opened it up. And now a bunch of people have it.
I'm impressed by your level of patience.
I don't have any patience. I just live in town.
Like, did you have to relax your D for that?
Well, it fascinates me when people are telling me they're going to your conference and you're opening new territories in every city except here. Don't say every city if you don't mean it. But I'm very pleased with it. We've had a phenomenal experience. We get great lead flow. And it's already paid for itself for a couple of years from the closings we've had since November. So I'm happy with it so far. I mean, nothing's perfect. None of them are perfect. They all have something that I don't like, but from a website perspective, it gets good. We get a good lead flow and they're good leads. They're not, I mean, not everyone is gonna buy a house today, but they're good. And our website has good SEO. I mean, we've had it for a long time, so. All right, so now we're going to be running our business, right? We're going to be talking about showing buyers houses and negotiating contracts. So we're going to learn how to present offers when we represent a buyer. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about how it goes through command and all of that. So the purpose of this module is the offer process. So buyer makes an offer. Well, that doesn't happen right away, right? You have to show buyer houses. Once they found their perfect home, this is, well, it's a little bit more, we're gonna teach this way, then we're gonna talk about reality today, because it's way different. So you know, show the buyer the house, they decide they wanna make an offer. For us, most of the time, they're not even here, like, they haven't even seen the house in person at all. So after they close, that's the, like. The seller can respond in one of three ways, right? Accept, reject, or counter. And then if they counter, it begins a process of negotiation. And until it's signed and dated by all parties, it's not a ratified or enforceable contract in South Carolina. So if they accept the offer, once you negotiate, you go back to the middle, you're in acceptance, and you begin the contract to close process. So you're not doing that yourself, because it's really not. Unless you want to be a transaction coordinator, it's a huge time suck. And I have soapbox about that, which I will get on. If they reject the offer, it's probably because they have another multiple offers and you're soon to win. But there's ways, I think, that you can present it in a way that will entice the client. We talked about it before, the other agent to, you know, present your offer. You know, your buyers can write letters. It's an emotional thing, right? Logic makes you think, right? Emotion makes you act. So a seller's emotional about selling their house, whether they have to move or want to move. They have memories there. They maybe grew up their family there. So if you have an elderly couple and you have a first-time home buyer that's starting a family, what do you think the letter should be about?
Starting family, building a home.
Raising their family, right? This is like done 100% of the time now on our team. They're right, if we're in multiple offers, they have to, I mean, we encourage them to write a letter, we don't do it for them, but maybe I can find the one the guy did to get that other house. He like made a PowerPoint presentation. I'm like, what? Sign the contract. I have to get it. And he's like, I'm writing my letter. I'm like, sign this contract. I have to get in. I'm almost done. I'm like, how long does it take to write a letter?
Nah.
Well, then he sent to me, it's like a beautiful like visual with their pictures and how they're gonna raise their family there, and cute little graphics. I'm like, oh, that's right, good marketing guy. I'm like, Britton, she's like, welcome to my world. I'm like, it is 3:10. I need to have this offer in 10 minutes ago. Let's go. Click here 3 times. But that's important, right? Because sometimes price is not always what gets it. Terms, condition, how they feel about your client. Recently, we had a house in Dunes West that our clients were not in town. We FaceTime them. And the agent was there that day for every showing. And then when I submitted the offer to her, the full price offer, she called me because she wanted to know about my people because she didn't get to meet them. So I found out she was there that day to meet every single couple that came through so that she could tell the sellers about the couple. I thought that was a little intrusive, but I said, well, this is about my couple. You know, their family, they have a 6-year-old who's going to PCA. This is their compromise. She wants the house here, he wants a house here. This is the one in the middle. So we ended up getting it, but she really asked me a lot of questions about them. So sometimes you have to sell your people to the other people, right? Even with that, on Friday, I said, well, you know, it's their first house they've ever bought together. They just got married. They're gonna start their family there. But I said that after I asked him the question, right? Tell me about your people. Where are they going? Why do I want to know that? I wanted to make sure that whatever he wrote, I didn't know he was going to make a PowerPoint presentation, but whatever he wrote spoke to what was important to them. Emotion, emotion, emotion. right? If they think someone's gonna live there and raise a family, they may take less. I mean, we paid most, but, right? We've lost deals this year that we were hundreds of thousands of dollars over list and our price was higher. Somebody else's terms are better. It makes me crazy. So be patient with the process. It's a process. Always ask the following questions. If you think you're gonna, first of all, make the showing appointment, text the agent or call the agent. Do you have any offers on this? Currently having offers on this property? If they say yes, ask how many. Then say, it's my intent to write an offer this afternoon at 4 o'clock. FaceTime my client. Will you be presenting your offers as they come in, or will you be holding them until some period of time? Why do I want to know that?
Like you said before, if they're holding offers until Sunday, you don't want to put in your offer on Wednesday.
Because Sunday could be way like 22 offers.
Because a lot could happen. Start and end date.
And sometimes a seller will take the first offer before, even if they know the rest are coming in. So you just have to be strategic about it. And you talk to your client about it. Well, I'm doing this to develop our strategy. We have to have a strategy in order to, present your offer in a way that you get the house. And I tell them, if they're going to present them as they come in, we'll submit it today. If they're going to hold them and call highest and best, like on Saturday at 6, we're going to wait until Saturday at 4. It'll be signed, but we may have to revise the price based upon the number of offers they have on Saturday. So I'm setting the expectation from the beginning.
So like in a situation like that, where you're working with the buyer and you're gonna wait until the deadline is 6 p.m. on Saturday, you're gonna wait till that 4 p.m. on Saturday. I'm assuming you're already having conversations with that buyer and like vetting out like what is the highest they're willing to go on this house?
Good question. I have written it already where I think we need to be.
Mhm.
And the only thing that's going to change that is the number of offers on Saturday. Right?
Will the agent usually tell you what the other offers are for?
Oh,
Or
They can't give you,
okay. I wasn't sure.
I didn't think they could. That
No.
was-
So you have to, that's where your time. is being placed with the play to understand that they've got 6 offers on this house. You're offering $60,000 over.
Well, there are certain things you can do to make an offer, right? This house was built in 2017. It's in perfect condition. Old people live there. It's gorgeous. Like as is contract, you can have an inspection, but are you really gonna ask for anything? No. As is contract means no due diligence. Well, due diligence, don't even try. It's not gonna happen. Repair procedure is not happening, right? Don't do it. Like, it's just, they need to have an inspection, right? And we do get, most of our contracts are repair, well, all of them are repair procedure. Recently, I've lost a few deals because of the as-is thing. So I've changed my strategy on that, but it just depends on the house.
What do you mean?
Because other people have as-is contract and I wrote a repair procedure, even if it's 3 days,
You lost some true assets.
right? Even if it's 3 days, like I can get an inspection in the same day if I need to. I don't have to wait a week. I don't have to wait 5 days. I can get it today. If I had to have it today, I could get it today. So, I mean, if we're writing offers on the team, and we're in multiple offer situations, and we have to tighten that repair procedure down to like 3 or 4 days, I text the inspector, block 3 times for me, early next week or whatever, to turn these inspections. And then as they come in, I just send them the addresses. Then I can tell them I already have the inspection scheduled. Because the first thing they're gonna say is you're never gonna get an inspection by Friday. Well, yes, I will. So there's just different strategies that you can employ before you write the offer to make sure that you're communicating the strength of your offer. Obviously, cash is king, but a pre-approval letter from our lenders are just like cash. Pre-qualification letter is not a pre-approval letter. a lot can happen, right? Like if Justin gives me a pre-approval letter from South Carolina Federal Credit Union, I know that's going to closing. No question. It's already been underwritten. It's approved up to whatever. I'll call him and say, okay, I need it for this amount of money. And he'll change the letter because I don't want to tell him it's $1 million if they're only gonna pay 600, right? Because again, I want to get the house for the buyer. But if I have to pay 585, I need a letter to say 585, not 520. Right? All of your ducks in a row. And I set the expectation with the buyers up front because everyone still thinks they can get a deal. Getting the house is the deal. Right? Right now, that's the deal. Winning the bid is the deal. And I just say, if you lost this house over $5,000 or $10,000, how are you gonna feel about that tomorrow? $10,000 over 30 years is not that much. I mean, how are you gonna feel about it? Unless it's in a neighborhood like Oakfield where there's a bunch of houses coming on the market, you're not gonna be able to duplicate it. Right? So if you could go to sleep tonight and wake up and know that you didn't get this house on a scale of 1 to 10, how upset would you be? Anything above a 7, they need to go up in price. If it's a 4, then they're not attached to it, right? It doesn't matter. Does that help? You have to be calm. Don't use words like my buyer, my seller. Those are emotional words. They're already emotional. You're the consultant in a transaction. You're neutral. You're doing everything you can to keep them calm. We're right now, our level of services, we've always had a high level of service. Right now, our service is out the roof. Like we're transferring utilities for people. We're going in, ordering their cable boxes because Comcast is so far behind and taking them into their house and setting up their internet because they're not here. Like they're not here.
Well, I would imagine like this is a high stress time for a buyer.
Well, they're not here. They want internet when they get here.
That's crazy.
Comcast is behind. They have to mail that stuff. Or Xfinity, whatever it's called. So we're operating in a much higher hands-on process than we normally do. We're very systematic team. Like there's a system for everything. We have a transaction closing, like actual system, website system thing that has task lists and it's assigned to different people. We're a very systematized organization. So the extra right now that we're doing is because it's important. Like everything's moving so fast. And so, and sometimes people aren't technologically savvy. You can have a vacation rental with no internet, right? You can't. And if it's booked out until October or November, you got to do it on the turn. Xfinity's not going to come Saturday between 10 and 3. So I set it up in my name, use my phone number as a text. When it's delivered, I tell the property management company, they go in and set it up, and then I transfer it back to their name. Like you have to do that. You can't lose income, right? I know you laugh, but I'm telling you.
No, I laugh because I know that I see the share work. I'm actually shocked that's even. I'm not to be allowed to do that.
They don't know I'm doing it.
I know that.
I'm not gonna call and tell
That's what
them.
I'm saying.
Well, I have to do it, right? It's my service. They can do whatever they want.
I get it.
But right? Like she lives in, I don't even know the name. It's such a weird name. I can't, 96 South Carolina. Do you even know where that is? Like her phone barely works there. So she can't, and she does not do technology at all. So, she bought a $1.5 million house from me. I think I could go take the cable box. and put
Lisa
it in
can
her
do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yeah, I
right.
can
It's
do
gonna
that.
happen.
I would skip over there with that pizza sauce.
Well, it's just the way it has to be because I can't, it would be terrible if she didn't get the income. So I negotiate with the sellers to leave it on through a specific period of time to get the time for Xfinity to mail the stuff. And then I had my phone number as a text message. And then when it was delivered, the property management company went in, had someone do it on Saturday and on the turn. Now, Isle of Palms is a different turn day. You're gonna get Comcast to go out there on a Sunday afternoon? I don't think so.
I'm sure the Comcast is out there any day, any afternoon.
I know, but, well, whatever. So you are building a rapport with the listing agent, asking great questions. The final question I always ask is, what is the most important thing to your seller about this offer? Price or terms? What is it? What is your seller's preferred closing date? My goal is to write an offer that doesn't have to have any countering. Like if you want to close October 30th and my client is okay with that, we're going to close October 30th. Last year, we closed on a house. A family was in Italy. They're in the army, and they closed on a house, and we just put a renter in there for 6 months. Like I had someone come stage it first. So we put a renter in there for 6 months. The renter moved out. They came to town. Everybody's happy because the house might not be there, right? Like if they're attached to a neighborhood, and they were like Carolina Bay, Carolina Bay, Carolina Bay. If they're attached to a neighborhood, then you just got to do. We had the painters going. I mean, it's crazy the stuff that we're doing that we normally don't do.
So the buyer had part of the terms with, or you guys found a renter for the buyer for that 6 months? Or the date?
No, I did it. I don't deal with renters, but I did it. It's a referral source. I mean, that her
Right.
sister refers me tons of business. She's from Fayetteville. And he's the commander of the Army Corps of Engineers. That's a nice contact to have in Charleston. So we're gonna do whatever it takes to make them happy. And they have like 5 kids. Like, gotta get it done, right? So there's a checklist on page 3 of your participant guide, checklist to prepare offer. Before you even take a buyer in your car, they should have a pre-approval letter from their lender. Makes no sense to show anybody anything without a pre-approval letter. Like, it's just that happen. When you're ready to get your pre-approval letter, let me know. And we won't even FaceTime them. Then you're chasing your tail. You have to know what their budget is. I always ask the lender, well, what's their budget? What's the upper end? Right? Because if their upper end is really 520 and we're looking at a 520 house, we're not going to get the house for 520. So we had an issue with a little veteran that his max was really like 300. So he's looking at houses in the high 280s and we couldn't get anything. Plus he's VA. So that's a whole nother ball of worms right now. So I said to Eileen, I'm like, you need to take him down like 250 to 260 max because he's gonna have to pay more. He's a VA buyer and he can't compete with these other people. So that's what we did. And we got him one that he liked better than the one he lost. You just have to make sure that you're, the other night we lost one. It was a great buyer. She didn't even respond until we saw active contingent, which irritates me to death. Like, just tell me, right? Because that's how your people are seeing it too, right? On Zillow, active contingent, and you haven't even called them yet because the agent didn't tell you that your offer wasn't selected. So, market analysis, I do send it if they want to see it. Based upon the personality of the person. But I also remind them that those numbers 6 months ago have nothing to do with the market right now today. In that case, I found out the house across the street sold for 580 or 560. And it wasn't marked closed yet in MLS because I knew the agent. And so I already knew that before we even started, I told them that I knew that and just get your head around 560. Like it has to, so you're gonna have to start there. I don't know why they listed at 5, and this house was way nicer than the other one on a way better lot. It's just like to get a bidding war going. So what else can be completed before your initial offer? What else can you do in advance? Obviously, make sure the house is still available. Nothing worse than being on the way to a showing and getting the notice from showing time and the house is under contract. That's terrible. So what else could you do? Could you call the listing agent before you show the house? We already talked about texting them, asking how many offers they have. Talk to the lender, make sure they can meet, hey, this might have to be a quick closing date based upon the listing agent's information. They want to close by the end of September. Can you meet that date? Some lenders can, some lenders won't be able to. What would hold that up? The appraisal. Like the appraisal, if it's appraisal contingency, sometimes we've had to say that we would get it right away. Because if, even the listing agent's word is not going to appraise. Or we had that one, we had to guarantee 20,000. If it didn't appraise, we had to guarantee the seller 20 grand over whatever it appraised for up to the purchase price. That agent did tell me that the other one had a $15,000 appraisal contingency. So I roll ours for 20. And then add another 5,000 on the purchase price because I'm like, you have to assume, you just have to think about it, right? So if you have 3 people or 4 people looking at a house, you have to assume the first person's at least 5,000 to 10,000 over whatever it is. Now I had knowledge they didn't have about this other house, right? They didn't know that other house had already closed for 580 or 560. So it was a little bit bigger, but this one was way nicer. So you take all that in consideration, and then you just have to have a frank conversation with your client. They can write a letter in advance, but usually not till they see the house, because they talk about the personal stuff of the house. Don't ask for any other crap. Everything with the screw is going to stay. So don't ask for the refrigerator or their washer and dryer or any of the things, because that could be the difference, right? People get attached to refrigerators. Crazy. I wouldn't want to move a refrigerator.
Me either. I've never understood that. But like,
I mean, they will fight
I
over
would
a used
rather buy a new
refrigerator. I'm
one
like,
than-
you can get a new refrigerator for less and you're paying more for this house to get that refrigerator. I mean, it's silly. So if you go to writing the offer, have you, any of you written offers? Yes?
No, not personally. I was a part of one. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, when I.
So,
Yeah, not.
y'all know how to use your DocuSign and command and all that. Jay teaches a great class on that. I'm not the person to ask about that. But like you write them all electronically. It's all in command. So what I do to save time, because remember, some agents turn the offers right away and I need to get in there. I pre-write everything in the offer except for the price and closing date before I go see the house, before they go see the house. So then we're ready to pull the trigger. We just got to fill in a price.
So you're pretty much already filling in the offer. You have the offer ready. The last thing you
That's
just need is the
already
price.
ready.
You do that before you even go to a showing.
If I know that's the house they're gonna buy, it's already ready. If I'm on the fence about it, I don't do it, but it only takes 5 minutes. So what if I cost myself 5
Yeah.
minutes? Then I don't have to worry about get back to the computer, get back to the office, hurry type in the price, and it's them to sign. I can just do it from my phone and then I can forward it to the agent. That's how I do it, but I'm very time, I don't want to be doing it at 11 o'clock at night, but I will if I have to. Now, not normally I wouldn't, but now I will.
So many people are asking me showings, usually showings, like I did a showing this week. And the person seen 12 homes. So it seems extremely
12?
expensive. Yeah, it's a lot.
What are they looking for?
Well, until I had that final discussion with them. It was up in the air, but they finally nailed down the one house. Like the one house that I hope they left to go, that the agent, I told them to go see, saw. I think that's it. But I mean, to me, that just seems like a lot. To me, it seems like 3 or 4.
still say
Well,
You
right
should have like
now,
6.
right now, like, because things are selling so fast, I think you are gonna have more houses to show. 12 is excessive, so either they're not committed to. Is there something weird that they want that?
No, it was that he is very much an analytical person, and he was wanting, like, he was trying to understand the market. He just kept trying to understand. I'm trying to understand the market out was overweighting his like want to buy and what he's wanting. So he kept thinking like, I just want to see the value, I want to see the value, I want to see the value. Finally, I was able to get over that hump and break that and be like, look, you know, if you're trying to understand the market, you're gonna sit here for days. You're never gonna.
So he's like an analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
But did you ask him like, what about the value you're trying to
What do
understand?
you
Oh, so I mean, what the thing was, again, even though he said that this was his list, this is what his needs were, he was always like, well, I could give up this, I could give up that. We finally got to a point where I was like, look, like, what is the one thing that you're not going to move on and figure out? And we finally figured it out, that it was, privacy in schools, and that was it. And I was like, then we need to stop looking at Daniel's Island. We need to stop looking at places that I feel like this.
Reach out and touch your neighbor.
My neighbor. I was like, that's where we've gone, all these houses. So, when I finally kind of broke that, and then we got over this like $1 million thing. I was like, okay, fine. You want to find a house that's $1 million? It's gonna feel like $1 million. Let's find you a house that's $1 million. And we found it. Hopefully, the agent took him out to negotiate. He was a very interesting person.
We have a few people that we've FaceTime shown a few houses to, but mostly because they sell before they can get their offer in. Right? Like in that price, that 250 to 400 price range, it goes like that. So like on the way to showing it, active contingent, right? I would call the agents that are gonna show it and say, I have an offer or 2 or 5 or whatever. Let me know right away if you're the right one. But that's me.
Is that a common thing too, or like they will be going, especially now in this part, we have people going to a show and just hop off the.
I was showing one last week downtown. I was on my way there at 4:30 on like freaking Wednesday night on my way downtown to show this house on Cannon Street. I had the appointment on for 24 hours, then I got a notification it went under contract. And I'm not that person. Like we're not gonna write that. I call the agent. I'm like, how strong is your contract? Pretty strong. Is it more than full price and is it cash? He wouldn't answer that question. I said, well, mine is, so let me know if something happens to it. He'd already signed it, but he'd already signed it before I made the appointment. So he should have called me the night before.
Yeah.
But people don't, there are a lot of real estate agents right now selling real estate. It's not their like full-time job, or it's not like they don't do it a lot. They're doing it right now because the market's hot and their neighbor wants to sell their house or whatever. So they don't like practices that we do every day. They might not know. So hold the tax record, read the disclosure, make sure you check the flood map, which on the tax record, it's been updated now. Because some have not, some weren't in flood zones and now they are. The flood zones have changed. If it's a vacation rental, make sure you get all upcoming rentals, how many there are, what the income is looking like, and make sure you write in the contract that they'll provide all that information to you within like 48 hours. Especially if your client's not going to use it that way, because they have to honor the rentals for up to 90 days. And then, so now you've gotten your offer negotiated, and now you have it. Well, they want me to show you how to do a command. You guys haven't loaded an offer in command. I probably have something that needs to be done. Let's see. So command functions as your entire like CRM and your entire system. So you've written the offer in here. I know you gotta go, you gotta work. I'm just barely over now. So, let me know if you need anything. I'm in the back corner, or they know where to find me always. So you've written your offer in command, so your contacts are in there. My offers are not written in command because I have a team and we use Dotloop for Teams. So we have to upload our stuff, but I'm sure there's something here that this part hasn't been done yet, so we'll do it real quick, because I can show you. So you create your opportunity, you're in different stages, right? You know all that from Jay's class. So. Let me find one that's not done. So it'll be in here, pipeline is under contract. You go through and you move it from stage to stage, right? Inspections, whatever. So let me see, this one is done. This one's not done. So all of this is filled in because you build it in command and you write it in command. Ours is manually filled in. So our contacts aren't added until we go under contract because we write them in Dotloop. So once you get all of your stuff and you've got all your documents here that you've loaded and submitted for approval as you go through the stage. So your buyer consultation, you would have uploaded that and submitted for approval. Then you're under contract. You would have uploaded all of those. They would be there and submit for approval. And then the offers and commissions tab. So this is a really great system to use. If you have multiple offers, you can put all of the people, you can add a new offer, you can put all of the people, and you can look at all of the offers like in a list, right? And if it hadn't been accepted yet, then you could share that with your seller. And then it's all right there. Right? What are the terms? Cash, finance, option fee, any of that, closing date. So once you load that in, like if we pretended to add a new offer, you would I always make it ratified contract, but you would name it like Bob Smith or I usually go the real estate agent that brought me the offer with my listing, then the address. That way I can keep track of who I'm talking to. If you have a bunch of offers and you don't have the agent's name, you're going back looking for who did what, it gets confusing. So basically you just create the offer, you put in, you just fill it in. What is the date? What is the closing date? What is the address? You can select from KWS, like you can go pull it, click that and it will pull it from the MLS. And then you put your parties in. And it's not gonna let me do it because of, it's already accepted, but, and at the end of the day, when you save it, you have it right here. And if you had multiple ones, you would have all of them there. Then you can reject the ones that you're not going to accept and you can accept the ones, right? And then that's also where you manage your commission. You click that and that's where you upload your information for Tiffany. And make sure you do that right away so that they have all their stuff.
If you reject it, does that information go to the agent or?
No, you still have to do the rejection form from. No, you still have to go in and do the actual rejection form from the forms in DocuSign and have your seller sign that and send it to the other agent. Or you can sign it, actually, you don't have to have them sign it, you can sign it. Make sense? Okay. Let me go back to my class. Come on. Okay. So we created the offer and command. For your first few offers, if you're on a team, make sure you show it to your team leader, like your team leader. If you're not on a team, make sure you have like someone look at it so that you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed until you get used to doing it. When you present the offer, make sure that you have your buyer do their letter to the seller or their PowerPoint presentation, whatever they want to do. Make sure that you have the earnest money check either in your hand or like we use Butler College and now they have an online portal where you can pay. So I've already texted that to my client so they can log on and pay. The time for seller acceptance, like I'll call the agent and say, what should I do for an expiration date? And if they don't know, I leave it blank. Here's why. If they get 5 or 6 or 7 offers and they're not presented until 8 o'clock on Saturday and my contract expired at 4 o'clock and they didn't tell me they're not going till 8 o'clock, I didn't change it. Technically, my buyer is gonna lose because the seller could say it's expired. I don't like to do it unless the agent tells me like, hey, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning or 3 o'clock this afternoon or whatever. And I just keep on top of it. But there was an instance in Village Green where we had an offer in and we had it like 5 o'clock on Saturday because that's what he said. And they changed it and I couldn't get hold of the agent. And she couldn't, like, then you're texting and emailing extensions and you're not getting that they received it. It's just a very stressful thing.
So if that were to happen, so if say you didn't know and their timing was a moving target and you set it to expire at 4 PM on Saturday and they set it to close, offers received up till 8 and yours says 4.
Oh yeah,
can they take-
I would have changed it.
But
if they said it.
can they take that?
They
offer if
can
expired
take
at
it.
4?
They can, they would have to change the expiration date. But I do that so that my clients aren't sitting around for 3 days waiting for someone to answer. I would never say that someone's shopping an offer, but if there's no expiration, they can hold it for a week, right? That's just stressful on everybody. So,
So don't do that.
and I always take, once I have it all filled out without the price, I always email all of it to the buyer so they can go ahead and review it before we go on the appointment, so that if they have any questions, we can answer those before we're ready to submit it, not going through the contract when we have a deadline. Or like someone's waiting, like this guy was literally waiting on my offer before he presented to the seller, but I had sent it to them the night before. And I have my email written, my cover letter is already attached to it. I'm just waiting on filling in the price, closing date, attaching it and going.
So if there's not if they're not holding offers to X date time and they're just taking offers as they come in, what turnaround time do you generally?
I just ask them when they're presenting it to the seller. And if they tell me they're just gonna send them as they come in, I just will leave it blank. But he told me, make it 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, they're traveling, I'm gonna talk to them at 6, but you never know. And by 6:10, I had my counter offer that week. You know, and then I just text him my increase. We're gonna do this, we'll do this. He changed it initial, then sent it back. So that was all done within like 8 minutes or so, right? We always send in the email a synopsis of our offer. Attached, you'll find blah, blah, blah. Like I said, everything we do is a system. So it will be, you know, you'll find our offer attached for 123 Main Street, purchase price to make things simple, purchase price 500, closing date September 30th, repair procedure August 24th, blah, blah, earnest money 10,000, and then pre-approval letter attached. And then we attach everything. Any questions on that?
A lot of moving pieces.
It's a lot of stuff.
So I present the offer, they, receive the offer, they ask information about the buyer, they present it to the seller, and then they respond in writing. Do they have a home to sell? If they do have a home to sell and it's on the contract, you want to see the contract to see if there's not any weird, all states have different weird rules. So if it's contingent upon the closing of a home, then you need to see that contract and talk to that listing agent on that home.
But only if it's contingent on.
Yeah, I don't care if they don't need to sell it. But if they do have to sell it and you're presenting it, like, remember, I have a buyer. And as a buyer's agent, I want to make sure they understand it's sold, but as a seller's agent, I want to make sure the contract is through inspections. Do you see any issues with it? All of those things. Because I don't care what you say, no one's going to show up the house with a kick out clause. Well, they may now, but. So I would want to know that they can close on it and their house is closing and everything. So I've asked all of that of the lender and the listing agent on their current house. Do you have, did you have multiple offers? How long did it take to get them? If it were to fall through, how long would it take? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Okay. Reviewing the offer with the seller. You call them, let them know, or text them, however their preferred method of communication is, that you have an offer to present them, you email it to them, these are the highlights. Now it's, we have 6 offers, these are the 3 that, I have a multiple offer spreadsheet that I put all in, so we can keep it straight. And then depending upon what they decide, you either counter it in writing, send it back to the other agent, or you can, if they want to call highest and best, you notify every single person that submitted the offer that highest and best is due by, 6 o'clock on Sunday, and put it in the MLS that you're in a multiple offer situation, highest and best is due by 6 o'clock on Sunday. Please let me know that you received this and whether you're going to increase, if you're going to increase your offer, have it due by 6 o'clock on Sunday. And they'll usually reply as is, or we're going to stay, and then you again can change it in your spreadsheet or whatever.
So the highest and best is just like not necessary. So it could be just someone taking a contingency out, leaving the
Yeah,
place as
it
is,
could
but
be
removing
contingency out, it could
contingencies.
be no inspections, it could be, it could be anything, right?
Buy a banana split on clothes.
Yeah, right. I would, right now, I think you have to assume that you've got one shot at it, not 2. Because not everyone, just because the agent asks, encourages the seller to do highest and best doesn't mean they're going to. So I would just put all in, like the first time. And, like the other day, they came back to me in another offer and discarded the other ones. So I just asked more questions. It's like, I can't tell you that. I'm like, well, but you are telling me that by what you're not telling me. So. Any questions about all of that? Update the CMA. That's what you do in a normal. You can do it now. If they're the last sale, they're gonna, first they know what all the neighbors have sold their houses for. They know what they're all under contract for. And all we need to do is decide what their number is. Sometimes I just take them all over there and I'm like, well, these are all 5. We're going to start at the lowest, and then we're going to end up with the one that you're going to take. Because obviously, if it's $40,000 more than anything else, that would be stupid not to take that, right? What happens if it doesn't appraise? You put it back on the market, you're still going to get 9 offers, right? That's the beauty of right now. I had a house come in $100,000 short in Rockville a couple weeks ago. $100,000.
Is that happening on lockdown?
I haven't had it happen here in years, but it happened there. but I think that that appraiser was a little hinky. We actually appealed it because this is a custom house and he used like, you know, the previous part of the subdivision had been like a production builder and the new part of the subdivision is all custom. He wouldn't let us use any of the newer custom homes. He only used the, which
Which isn't-
significantly.
So it's not
different
apples
size.
to apples.
Correct, but we renegotiated. Okay, what did you learn in this module? Huh?
I said there's a lot of stuff to do.
Strategy.
Told you hundred
There's a
ninety-two
lot of
tasks.
Strategy.
I think being
the
strategic
best
is the
question.
most important part of the whole thing.
And I think everybody's gonna have their own strategy. I mean, that's a big thing. You gotta kind of find what yours is. I think it's a big thing.
I mean, like, it really seems like a lot of it comes down to